There is a new podcast coming out tomorrow called Double Exposure that goes behind the scenes of the photo shoots for some of the celebrities that you could possibly think of. It is hosted by two of Britain's leading photographers who have definitely taken photos of more celebrities than we've had for Who Are Ya? That's for sure. That is Hugo Burnand and Cambridge Jones, who we are hearing from today. Now, getting to know them individually and their signature portrait areas, because they do a lot of portraits. And for Hugo, having a warrant to photograph the king, could it be fair to say that royals is your signature style of portrait?
Well, it might be.
Can I just say, we don't exist individually, Akylah. I don't know what you're trying to do to us. What is this?
Do you remember the first time you were asked to photograph a royal?
I do. But it's never a sort of straight...
Wouldn't it be great if he just said, nah?
I mean, to be fair, it'd be quite a flex. You've done them so many times, you can't remember the first one.
Yeah.
No, but I can. Of course I can. I mean, I remember... This wasn't the very first time, but I remember sitting in my car outside Windsor Castle on April the 9th, 2005. And I was just waiting for security to pass me because I was going in to set up and take photographs at the wedding of then Prince Charles and Camilla Parker Bowles. And I did have a sort of pinch myself moment thinking, wow, I am actually responsible for a little piece of history. And that was quite exciting.
Cambridge, I know you've also photographed royals too, but would it be fair to say one of your signatures is photographing politicians?
Can I just say that we have a sort of running joke within the podcast because we have both shot royals, but he's the one with the royal warrant. So I'm endlessly teasing him about why have you got that? And because I've shot the king and the princes and the last queen, but he's the one who gets this thing on his wall going to appointment. He's about to rub me out.
No, I'm not. Because, Akylah, what you probably don't know is that Cambridge was in Moscow on a commission, and a Russian journalist asked him if he was going to shoot Putin, and he said, I would love to shoot Putin, which then became the headlines.
Yeah. I was very nearly escorted quietly out of the country the next morning. But sorry, to genuinely answer your question, I have done a lot of politicians. It isn't the thing that it's interesting that you say that. I think if I was asked the question, I would say it's musicians because they're the ones I find more creative and fun. So I have shot 8 prime ministers, but I don't really I like it for the status it brings me, but I don't love it creatively. Whereas if you take Jack White into a studio and ask him to swing off the light chandelier, he might well do it. That's not going to happen with Tony Blair or David Cameron or Theresa May. So there's a sort of limited range of what you can get out of those people, I suppose.
See, I'd assume because of their media exposure that celebrities would be easier to photograph.
Well, we have quite a lot of conversation about this. I have a very fixed line on this. Politicians will give you a very limited range. Actors, if they're celebrities, are very, very aware of what they're doing with their whole body and their face and everything. So they're actually, in some ways, quite hard to photograph unless they're in character because they're very self-conscious about it. So you have to sort of trick them into being free and open.
But I really like photographing the celebrities because it's like they're at the top of their game, we're at the top of our game, and so immediately the game starts at a higher level. They're giving us so much, and so we don't waste time sort of easing them in and stuff like that. They hit the ball back at us and we hit it back, and you just get a really good game.
And I think, that's a really good point. And there's another thing I think that I trick, we haven't really talked about this, but I never ever go into those shoots with a sort of A-list celebrity and compliment them or talk about their work, because the moment I do that, I've elevated their status in the room, and I need to go in as somebody working with them in the way Hugo just described, where together we're going to create a great portrait of you, Damien. We're not saying, Mr. Damien Lewis, that you're brilliant in billions or whatever it is. We're just saying, hi, Damien, you and I right now together creatively, let's go. And I never sort of compliment them about anything. And I did used to, and it always used to sort of get in the way because they became the star.
Well, that's really interesting. Although Damien Lewis is a good-looking man anyway, I'm sure he hasn't got a single bad angle at all.
Yeah, I did the last couple of shoots with my eyes shut.
The levels of professionalism that are currently in the room. We'll have more from Hugo and Cambridge in a